Hey guys, this is FNGR, and I have been having some issues. That doing a series like this takes its toll because it means giving up a lot of things that you like doing. So over on Analysis Daily, I did the first one half of an analysis series, where I contrast Season 5 of MLP versus Season 6. If you miss my review and analysis series, I encourage you to go show that some love. It's been 5 months since I went back to what started me here, more or less, and quite frankly all of YouTube, as a content creator. So hey, it might be worth a watch. In other news, you guys might have noticed in the thumbnail, I and Josh are getting along now, in spite of what you see here. But you know, I paid for this already. It will be the last incarnation of a fiery Donald. We had a long discussion about religion, politics, a little bit about some weirdo from Tumblr. I forget the name. If you feel this art is a bit gauche, I'll have you know I'm getting Misanthropony drawn with Kichi's Floof by Dog Eye Crimson. So yeah, I screw with everybody, just something I do. So here's the hard cost of peace, you gotta start reining it in. But at the same time, I need to still put something here. Josh asked me about the indecision of Wan Xiao, and it had been a while since I looked through the series with over 120 chapters to sift through. Thankfully, I found the example in chapter 22, where the general is advised by Tianfeng, Xianpei, Jiushu, and Guotu. You may know about these individuals if you've ever played Dynasty Tactics or read the book. To the best of my knowledge, the Wan's army never got more playable characters in the Dynasty Warrior series. If they've changed this, tell me immediately. The Wan is advised to deal with the traitor Cao Cao, or Zhao Zhao if you're being a stickler, with Xianpei advising a simple attack with the Wan's might is all that is needed to seize the day, Jiushu advising to consider his enemy's might and not to blunder his way forward without consideration for his foe's talents. Tianfeng warns against the Wan's army being exhausted and to gradually effect change through the court due to the Wan's recent success. Guotu simply says that an attack will be seen as virtuous by the people, and will allow him to draw on allies he never had before. Now, Wan Xiao proceeded ultimately to assist Liu Bei, who was fighting Cao Cao at the time. Wan, ever concerned with his image, then releases a manifesto decrying Cao Cao's many crimes to show the righteousness of his cause. Almost, the Wan's first concern was being seen as being right than making the right steps forward. Half measures in serious issues that called for full ones and led to the Wan seizing defeat from the jaws of victory. Feel free to draw what wisdom from that you will. Also take this from what you will. The next glass of water will likely be on you, Josh. So, be first and be fast. But what do I know? Now hopefully, if we act quickly, we can get something done before it's too late. So cool story, I thought I had time to get out 2 How Not to Bronies and sway the ice-cold heart of Josh Scorcher before Lily Peet put out her Artist Meltdown story. I have literally so many ways to start off this video, but at 33 seconds I can literally start and stop here. Make a thesis statement and be done with this piece. But there's a wealth of things to talk about and of various ways to tackle these topics. But first here, a while ago, I used a screenshot from one of Lily's videos using Silverquill's picture. I had no fucking idea this was Lethal Aurora Mage's artwork until Keyframe came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Mage is in a bad place right now, can you please credit her?" I asked around Limbo from, I believe, Razor Reviews, Riley, that gentleman you threw off your Patreon, and British Ninja, who's still in your Discord chat, and I said, "Hey, do you know who drew that Silverquill picture?" They had no idea. I had no idea, and I'm friends with Mage. I went back and eyeballed the pic, and yes, there is a signature there. But I had to see that picture so many times I never thought to look. To which I'm likely going to assume you're going to say, well, that's on you. So I'm going to ask you guys, how many of you guys knew that this was Lethal Aurora Mage's artwork? The embarrassing part for me is on DA, Mage asked really nicely for people not to use her art like this, which makes this a little uncomfortable. So Mage, if you wish to be compensated, I'll be glad to. One more thing. Mage, along with Digi and Tommy Oliver, from what I've heard, are Lily Peet's preferred punching bags on Tumblr. Or at the very least used to be. Now, I'd like to respond to this.
Bad critics who desperately cloy for attention.
Analyst Lily. We're breaking down and interpreting this wonderful propaganda piece that you've constructed. My peer, Lilac Galaxy, wanted to burn Lily Peet at the stake pre-glass of water, based on Lily's conduct in various places. She saw this piece and commented that she nodded her head on a few occasions. She's also had a King of Limbo recorded, and I still gotta edit that, and maybe that'll be up next. She sent me some interesting audio before the last show, and I declined to include it because it was from an emotional place, and I assumed if I kept my cool and my friends kept their cool, Lily would flip the fuck out, with lots of screaming and how dare yous and so forth and so on. So simply because I always expect the worst. Prepare for the worst and the best possible things will happen. Lily Peet surprised me and was prepared to play chess for once. See back in How Not to Brony 13, way back 5 months ago when I covered Lily Peet's complete meltdown when she treated Lightning Bliss like a complete pile of garbage. Let's play a clip of Kitty reading off Lily Peet's gauche behavior. Here is her conversation, as read by Astro Boy's girlfriend. And here is Lily's response.
Which riff is doing largely insignificant, and in hindsight it was a mistake even bother trying to make the correction in the first place, and the correction has been removed from the next glass of water script. Since I was talking about very specific behavior, what its clique people fall under doesn't matter. You kinda caught me off guard, since you had no problems being a part of my work in the past. That was never the case. I have never allowed my character to be used in other people's works. I have told the 3 other animators who have used my puppets in their works not to do it, usually via the same communication. As for whether it should be in the comments or direct message, I think that is simple enough to instruct that it doesn't really matter how I do it. It's whether the public comics section or in private message. We can dance around the idea that direct message shows respect, but what it really shows respect is asking someone before you can use the character in something. Actually, that's not even respect. It's just courtesy. Neither of us can really claim respect on the other since we don't know each other. We have never worked on anything. We have never interacted before this point right here. It has something to do with the fallout with the former colleagues. My removal from the analysis anarchy is about only the fallout there ever was. I think I can live with that.
Do you know what's funny about that? That's the original well-behaved post that Lily Peet made, which was then deleted, and then she acted like a fucking child. If you want to go hear the super tacky version, I invite you to go back to How Not to Brony 13. It's tempting to think that Lily was biding her time.
Have the same counterintuitive dynamic that I've perceived to be a problem for a long time. And just recently, the most gloriously picturesque example of these problems fell right into my lap.
Baiting and patiently waiting for an artist to fly off the handle to make some kind of Machiavellian point. Except it didn't go your way originally. You had a meltdown, you removed good stuff, which was Lily's way to compete with Analysis Daily, because when you know it, putting over talented, deserving individuals makes people forget that you're an asshole for at least 5 minutes. I do like doing Analysis Daily. Though it does wear on me, there is a lot of damn downloading that goes into putting those clips together. But because I like the Brony analysis community, it forces me to stay active and watch everyone's stuff.
Something that nobody in this community, aside from maybe Silver, Dr. Wolf KP, and Finn, has any right to complain about. Incidentally, many people have in fact tried to rewrite history by saying that I got mad at Bliss for using my character, but the reality is that it was a very simple and direct don't do this. Why are these people so thoroughly lying? Probably because the only recourse they have is to try and paint me as a hypocrite, rather than apologizing for flipping out in the first place and trying again from the top.
You guys did notice Lily said Bliss has no right to be angry, but didn't offer any reason why. 1, because Lightning Bliss was. 2, Lily Peet spurred the fuck out and went full retard in her own comments section. And you know what? Let's play that unreasonable footage after all. Now, some of you find this is a little standoffish, and truth is, if this was all I had to work with, I'd have to dig in my heels and try really hard to make a mountain out of a molehill. And let's be honest, I could. But then again, I got this sent to me from Lily's Tumblr.
You could at least show me the basic respect by asking me before using my characters. Or at least telling me I was kicked off the project when the decision was made, and not months after. So, fuck you. I think that's the right phrase. Fuck you.
It has nothing to do with the fallout of my former colleagues. My removal from the analysis anarchy is about the only fallout there ever was. I think I can live with that. Although, being told when the decision has been made rather than months down the line would have been nice.
When Lily had her meltdown and took down her series originally, I did feel a sense of schadenfreude. But at the same time, something that was potentially helping the community was gone. it would be like watching EQD go down. Sure, there'd be a lot of content creators who would recall some time or another where EQD did something that pissed them off. Oh, okay, a couple times. But the community would be a smaller place for it. It would be one less avenue to keep things going. I've had people like Voice of Reason ask me for me to plug him on How Not to Brony of all places. Why? Well, one, it gets views. Two, there's not a lot of options out there. In an ideal world, someone as reverend and respected as Voice of Reason, or a Golden Fox, or a Toon Critic, or hell, even a Lily Peet, whether she likes it or not, should have their work displayed, discussed, shared, so that the medium can grow. It's the same reason I keep crossing my fingers and waiting for Lily to wake up from whatever bad nightmare loop she's stuck in. You could be a lot more useful than not. I'm going to tell you about something that's going to get me into a massive fucking lot of trouble. So be glad you stuck in there. This is the person's channel. It's not one of mine, but it's run by someone I'm on wonderful terms with. This is Limbo's playground when we're being really oafish and ignorant. If you're easily offended, don't go here. We hit Toon Critic, Sweetie Bloom, Artistic Passion, Keyblade Pony, the entire Brony fandom because we're dicks, and Saphire Heartsong in a somewhat infamous Saphire Heartsong's blue period.
Right into my lap. So we're going to start by telling you a story of the most pathetically sanctimonious meltdown I've ever seen directed at me, and what it means for the larger community.
Lily Peet will talk as if her video on Saphire Heartsong is this groundbreaking exposure into this magical mystery well.
So, Saphire Heartsong, Anime Christie, whatever you call yourself, where doth thou begin with you? Well, gee, let me start by bowing down to you because clearly, the way you make yourself out to be, you're supposed to be the second coming of Brony Jesus, and honey, you are not worth the electric bill it costs to power that big-ass neon sign behind your back. You talk about your god complex as if it's satire and wonder why people don't take you seriously, or why you make constant cries for attention. I get it, honey, babe, doll, that you have self-esteem issues, but guess what? So does anyone else! Has anyone told you that you're not special besides your parents? This is some basic ass fallen wish shit. Or maybe it's some high school bullshit that, well, judging by your attitude, I'd say is where you are at. You are that girl. Oh, and let's go over the 24-inch boner you have for Silver Quill. Firstly, no one cares about your less than 200 view podcast with Silver Quill. Hell, Silver Quill doesn't even care about your podcast with Silver Quill.
Has Saphire Heartsong ever been a dick in the past? Yes. But when you attach people like Anime Christie, this is coming from someone who had it out with her twice, well, maybe 3 times after this video. I don't recall any time that she's ever called anyone else an art thief. And it's my fucking business to know. I do agree that we should have this discussion out in the open.
A low-skilled diva pretty quickly if you have any social skills whatsoever. They're obsessed about having 100% control over an image file they knowingly submitted to the internet without any sort of identifying marks. You'll probably find them on Tumblr, sneering at likes and whining about not getting reblogged and writing sanctimonious pages about how it discourages artists when they don't get attention. And they probably charge exorbitant amounts for commissions and then turn around and lecture you because you're a normal person with financial responsibility, and $100 for a piece of fan art is fucking unreasonable.
So let's recap. So again, a citation is 100% control. I thought that was demanding taking it down. You know, that bitch fest that you did with Seth at EQD. As for the Tumblr thing, did Saphire do any of these things? I mean, I literally don't know. Judging by this video, I doubt I ever will. As for the exorbitant amount for art, this is the picture in question. There are 16 fucking characters in this picture. I believe the price for the picture was $90, but feel free to round up to $100, you already did. Let's say each character is worth $5, because, well, they're not full body. I invite you to go to any artist, including your wife, if she would do that for that price. The total would be over $80, leaving the backgrounds 16, that would have to cost less than 20 cents a piece? Would have to cost less than 10 cents a piece to hit $90. Now, in the past, me and my friends have talked on Saphire's prices being a touch high. That was a long time ago, and her work has gotten better and her rates have become more reasonable. But charging $90, or hell, in Lily Peet land, $100 for this image, isn't a shock to the conscience. Go to any commission page, almost every one, I could find charges by the character. If you're in Lily Peet's camp, go to Orchid, his wife, and go ask, how much would you charge to draw this? Speaking of crediting the artist, this is Media Mongers, aka Vlad, formerly of Limbo. Feel free to check out his stuff. Irony of irony, Saphire has forgiven this man, as well as myself. I never gave her the full list of people that worked on Saphire Heartsong's Blue Period, but at least 6 people, and one person besides myself, probably more, were on the Secret Rifts modding staff. Lily, do you notice in this video there's a lot of vitriol and hate because we hit people who fucking deserve it? The intelligent and smart ones come to learn from that shit and go on to be better people. Do I agree with using conduct on becoming of a gentleman? Do you really have to ask?
I then told Christy that if a few seconds was that important to her, then she should file a DMCA and have the video taken down, which she did.
You know, in a forum, the fastest way to get banned by a mod is to dare them to do so. So, what you're bragging about is a basic troll where you pissed someone off so bad they took your horrible advice. You are a genius. One more time, Lily. Toon Critic, Brony, Kichi FIM, Dulcet Tones, etc., when asked if Saphire should hit you with a second strike for re-uploading the video, all said yes. Shelly D, one of those neo-reactionaries you like to look down on so much, is the only person who was disgusted with this idea and said something along the lines, sure, Lily is a dick, but that's abusing the system. But let's not talk about that because in Lily Peet land, only good people can do good options.
Final attempt to save face, because when you fail at being right, the best recourse is to make idiots think you're the bigger person.
By the way, Lily, that was my plan. That was all my plan. The idea to get Kichi to read it, the person who scripted it, I fucking told her to put Lily Peet in the tag first. On that note, I'm going to give Lily credit on one thing. When you get a chance, go type in Saphire Heartsong's name. What you don't see is glass of water. That's more class than I would have shown, and did. You'll clearly be able to find the video that Limbo did on the first page search for Saphire Heartsong.
Show for exactly this kind of thing or anything.
It's not like Finn the Pony or Geeky didn't leave their thoughts on that matter.
Okay, so I said before that I wouldn't talk about the whole Lily Peet and Saphire thing anymore on my Twitter, but now I'm gonna take that back for a minute or two, because FNGR wants me to give my thoughts. Well, actually, I sort of volunteered to give my thoughts, but whatever. I'm sorry if I'm talking about this too much, but I promise this will be the last time I talk about it anywhere. I don't think I need to explain what this whole situation is. Trust me, there are dozens of people out there who probably did it better than I could, and I'm sure FNGR explained it to all of you before putting me on the mic stand. On the one hand, Lily Peet is saying that she doesn't need to give credit to Saphie for her artwork because the usage of it fell within the bounds of fair use law, and that's hard to argue with. According to copyright.gov, which is actually a website that's meant for this kind of copyright stuff, the fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research is not an infringement of copyright. And that's just me paraphrasing it. Here's a little link for you to go to if you want the full thing. Now, how does this relate to the topic? Well, the use of Saphire's image in the video was used to help bring up a point about Brony reviewers. Now, because the image was relevant to the topic and was put in the video to serve as a visual aid, yes, it is a clear example of fair use. Saphire's artwork was used to serve a point, giving it a new purpose or context. On top of that, it was only on screen for roughly 10 to 15 seconds of the whole video. If Lily Peet were to keep that image on screen for 30 seconds without any interruption whatsoever, then yes, there would be some trouble. But the bottom line is, Lily Peet is within her rights to use the artwork, and on top of that, she's not obligated to mention Saphire in the context of the picture. This isn't me going up to bat for Lily Peet simply because she mentioned me that one time. This is me going off of legal documentation to try to understand why Lily Peet thinks the way she does. And after reading this and watching her video, I'm sorry to say, it's hard to argue with it. On the other hand, I feel like given how Saphire and maybe a couple others went out of their way to politely ask Lily for credit, she should make an exception and give it. Saphire was wrong to issue a copyright strike on Lily's video after not getting the credit she asked for. But I know how she actually is, and it's not the one-note caricature that Lily Peet wants to think she is. She's not the digital homicide of Brony artist, and she's not a diva artist who will complain when you can't buy her stuff. I know because I've known her for nearly 2 years and she's someone that I would consider a close contact. Perhaps I'm just too nice, but if I were in this situation, I would just give the credit, because it only takes a couple minutes to put a link to their DeviantArt in the bottom of the description. This isn't a case of letting the artist walk all over me or something, it's just the courteous thing to do. Art isn't easy to make. It's not like we can snap our fingers and create a picture out of thin air. It takes a lot of practice and time, and that only becomes more important when you have family life or school or work to attend to on the side. I'm not saying you should give credit to every single source you use. That's madness. But if an artist or creator goes the extra mile to politely message you for it, you should do it. I'm not going to sit here and start yelling about it, it's just what I would do in this type of conflict. Oh, and blocking everyone who confronts you about this on Twitter, as well as making fun of the situation on your Tumblr, whilst admitting to being a dick, doesn't really help your case, Lily. If anything, it makes you look like an actual penis. Thanks for having me, and have yourselves a great day.
I'm sure if I chose to pressure Misanthropony to do so, he would, so instead I would invite him to chime in the comments below.
One could argue that I could have just given her the credit if it was that important to her and let her have such a petty victory, but to me, it's the principle that matters.
Again, Manga Common Saphire Heartsong's Boo is asking Lily for something. Do you have a problem with women, Lily? And before you say you're married to one, let's quote Lily Peet. Misogynists are married to women.
And then try, in a hilariously unsuccessful manner, to sabotage my career when you don't get your way.
So Lily, are you still making $500 on Patreon? Be honest.
All your mates and dogpiling me. Josh tried that crap. Twice. And that's someone with a massive and rabid fanbase who will go so far as to dox me and threaten to kill me and my family. And it still didn't get me to stop calling him out on his bullshit. Because this is not how you resolve conflicts.
Alright, for the record, I think Josh fans are the cringiest autistic packs of backwater dumb fucks that you'll ever meet. But do you know how many death threats I got from Mr. Medicare, the man who founded Gamergate, or his fans? None I can think of. I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park. Kill yourself technically isn't a death threat. I got through a slew of bullshit, but then I turned to the god of 8chan and said, "You me as hard as you fucking can." Lily would have you believe this pussy and his fans doxed her, threatened her life, and the life of her family.
I can't give Christy what she wants, even if I wanted to, because that only encourages this kind of behavior. I would be making the problem worse.
She literally apologized, called for a truce because she listened to a vicious, vindictive parasite like myself, Lily. You can change her, Lily. You can reach down deep and you can pluck this unkept, uncrafted lump of coal and shape it into a diamond. Fuck, I managed to do it with Jeff over here.
You titanic ass.
While good artists are some of the most lovely people you'll ever meet and work with, bad artists are some of the most ego-driven, self-important martyrs in the world.
Only nice people are talented. Vincent van Gogh cut off his ear and gave it to a hooker. Oh, that's right, you didn't seek education, Lily. Do I even have to explain to you what an insufferable assholes musicians can be? Don't even think about telling me that there aren't amazing musicians who are god-awful human beings. I'd give you some examples, but then I'd start to lose some friends. But I think we know a couple in the fandom, don't we?
I mean, you can say a lot about Anime Christie and her attitude, and believe me, I certainly have, but at least she had enough common sense to know that she couldn't misgender me and cite fascist YouTubers in the process and expect to be taken seriously by anyone who matters.
Dear Lily, in Limbo, Saphire Heartsong calls you Jerry exclusively. In fact, she's encouraging her boyfriend exclusively to call you him in the response video. Now, I still have no problem calling you Lily, but it's almost like if you're a complete cunt to someone, they stop humoring you in what you want. And that's the real lesson, class. If you want people to respect you and give you common courtesy, don't act like an uncommon asshole.
I only put my foot down at people being rude to me if they're trying to demand something from me or misgendering me and then getting mad when I won't listen to a single thing they say until they correct that mistake.
Well, actually, you got really mad at poor Jeff here for having a different opinion, and no matter how misguided or retarded it was.
Hey.
You know something, Lily doesn't bring up the people in Lily's corner are just Lily's fans. FNGR is one of the most hated and reviled people in the community. Right or wrong, people who aren't pro-Lily or myself after they get done saying this is really, really, really dumb, notice On one hand, I'm trying to bail out a friend, and on the other, Lily is trying to bail herself out. I seriously could just said fuck it and avoided this whole situation. Hell, I just put out a file for analysis daily. I'm here because I want to be here. Lily is here because she shit the bed, and she's continuing her autobiography, the sequel to the movie How to Lose Friends and Alienate People.
Most artists are lovely people. I just recently featured one on Good Stuff. Most artists understand that fair use does in fact apply to them, and expecting credits for such harmless uses is as much of a waste of their time as it is of mine.
Hey Lily, you're crediting Saphire Heartsong. I won. But the real story here is that Saphire was pissed because you treated her like a second-tier pleb after how you acted with Bliss. If you never had that blowout with Lightning Bliss, this wouldn't be a thing. It's almost like we're in a community that cares about one another. Here, see this comment? This is from that video that Limbo did on Saphire Heartsong. This is Lightning Bliss, not all that thrilled with what's going on. And you know what's funny about that? In a video that was designed to be mean-spirited, this is me on one of my alt accounts, where we had a heated back and forth, but because there was a heated back and forth, and yes, she figured out it was me, because even a cinnamon roll can bait me, the issue got resolved because people fucking came out and talked, you goddamn moron. I want to back up for this in form and fashion.
Between good critics who work hard. Yes, despite the criticism I've given him in the past, I do believe Silver works very hard, deserves the praise he gets. This is called nuance, people.
This doesn't take effort, Lily. Not even a little bit.
So that you can understand. This has been FNGR and How Not to Brony, because fuck you, that's why.